Hi, my name is Viraj Pattni and I am a senior intelligence analyst here at Intelligence Fusion. And on today's video, I'll be talking about the security and political situation in Nigeria. So this year we've seen around a 10% increase in ISIS and Boko Haram related incidents in the northeast of Nigeria, mainly in Borno and Yobe states. And that's from the 1st of January to around mid-September. And this year, when in contrast to last year, we've actually seen more ISIS claims south of Maiduguri. So in January, the Nigerian army launched an operation to sort of curtail ISIS activity on the roads from Damaturu to Maiduguri and then south to Biu as well. And the sort of aim of this operation was to prevent ISIS from mounting checkpoints. They were mounting quite a few fake checkpoints and abducting a lot of civilians as well on these roads. And more generally, the aim of this operation was to curtail ISIS activity in southern Yobe and Borno states. So the other major development that we've seen in the northeast has been the death of Abubakar Shekau, who's the leader of, he was leader of Boko Haram, and he was killed during fighting between ISIS and Boko Haram in the Sambisa forest. And his death was reportedly ordered by Islamic State leadership in the Middle East. Now, since his demise, we've seen over 1,000 perhaps Boko Haram members surrender to authorities in Nigeria and Cameroon. And we've also seen some defections occur. So we've seen some Boko Haram fighters defect to ISIS. But since then we've seen fighting most recently in Lake Chad between ISIS and Boko Haram. So there are still remnants of Boko Haram that still exist. So there are a few commanders that are still loyal to Abubakar Shekau. And we've also seen the death of the ISIS leader in West Africa, who is Abu Musab al-Barnawi. And his brother was also killed. Now it's unclear how Abu Musab al-Barnawi was killed. If it was, there are some reports that state that he was killed during infighting, and others state that he was killed by the security forces during an operation. And also with the death of Abu Musab al-Barnawi, there could be further infighting within ISIS or ISWAP. And this could also affect their sort of hold of the region. There have also been reports that 250 fighters, and 2 commanders of Boko Haram having been relocated from Borno state to southern Kaduna state in the Rijana forest. So we could see Boko Haram also open up a new front perhaps, or we could see a shift in areas of operation by this group. And that leads me to the northwest, really, where we could see bandit groups increase their attacks on security forces, with the amount of pressure that is currently on, that the authorities are actually, placing on bandit groups. So in the northwest, armed criminal groups, locally known as bandits, they continue to engage in activities such as kidnapping, village raids, livestock theft. And these groups mainly operate in Kaduna State, Zamfara State, Sokoto State, Niger State, and Katsina State as well. So this year we've seen a rise in banditry related activity in Nigeria. And this year we've seen hundreds of school students being abducted by these bandit groups, mainly in Kaduna State, but also in Zamfara and Sokoto states. And this is a trend that really started last year, but we've seen really increase this year. So among the groups that operate in the northwest is Ansaru, which is a group that was formerly part of Boko Haram. And there has been reports of fighting between Ansaru and other criminal bandit groups. But pressure on bandit groups has also come from authorities. So we have seen airstrikes take place mainly in forested areas. And these forested areas are mainly in between these state boundaries, so such as Kaduna and Zamfara state, or Katsina and Zamfara states. And so we've seen authorities shut down telecoms networks in some areas of these states. We've also seen curfews being implemented. So we have seen some of these, there have been reports that these bandit groups are running out of supplies. And we've also seen that some bandit groups, or reports at least, that some of these bandit groups are now fleeing their areas of operation to neighboring states such as Niger State. And that could also leave open some space for terrorist groups such as ISIS or even Al-Qaeda, or Boko Haram even, to sort of co-opt some of these bandit groups. And again, we could see these insurgent groups or these terrorist groups really shift their areas of operation, and we could see the security situation in the northwest again take on a whole new other dimension. So in the southeast of Nigeria, we've seen there has been a rise in kinetic activity, and we've seen around 150 incidents related to attacks on police stations, attacks on police checkpoints or security checkpoints, and also ambushes on security forces. And these attacks are reported to have been carried out or suspected to have been carried out by the Indigenous Peoples of Biafra, or the armed wing, the Eastern Security Network. We've also seen the Indigenous Peoples of Biafra, we've also seen attacks allegedly carried out by this group on herdsmen, and during some of their attacks on police stations or security forces, we've also seen the use of, or reported use at least, of IEDs and heavy weapons as well. And there have been worrying developments again. I think in April it was, where we saw reports that police officers that were not Igbo, of the Igbo ethnic group, were seeking redeployments to other police stations out of fear of being attacked. So since August, we've seen the Indigenous Peoples of Biafra calling for sit-at-home orders in the southeast region of Nigeria. And these orders were called to demand the release of Nnamdi Kanu, who was the leader of the Indigenous Peoples of Biafra. And we have seen varying compliance of these orders. In some areas of the southeast region, we've also seen allegedly this group enforcing this order. So we've seen attacks or threats of attacks on businesses, and we've also seen attacks on vehicles, arson attacks especially. So in the southwest region of Nigeria, we've seen rallies being held by Yoruba Nation, which is a group that has been calling for an independent state for the Yoruba people. And since August, we've seen a rise in protest activity in connection with this group, especially, and this is in connection to the arrest of the leader of this group. So separatist movements in Nigeria could also grow in strength and size. They're also another sign of disillusionment with the political system or with the status quo. So this year we saw the Amazonia Governing Council in neighboring Cameroon announce a partnership with the Indigenous Peoples of Biafra, and the aim of this partnership was to, for both of these groups to help each other achieve their separatist aims. There has been contention in relation to this partnership within the separatist movement in Cameroon, or at least reports of tension. So it's unclear, how this relationship will develop. But if it was to develop, then we would see the separatist movement in southeast Nigeria take on a whole new dimension. So recently in Cameroon, there were attacks involving reportedly new types of IEDs and also heavy weapons targeting the security forces in Cameroon. So we could see similar attacks, of a similar magnitude in southeast of Nigeria, with attacks on security forces. So this year we've seen, how these different separatist movements have really taken off, in the southwest and the southeast, and this has led to many Nigerians to speculate about whether, they're seeing the country now, whether they could see the country really split up along ethnic lines. So in southeast, the Indigenous Peoples of Biafra have really increased their activities. In the southwest, with the Yoruba Nation, holding rallies in Ibadan. But it's also a sign of ethnic tensions with these leaders of both of these groups, having been accused of spreading disinformation. They've been accused of stoking ethnic tensions as well. While I can't see the Nigeria breakup along ethnic boundaries in the short, maybe even medium-term future, we are definitely seeing a rising ethnic tensions, and we'll see how this all plays out with elections being held in 2023. So we have seen rising anger with governance and the security situation in Nigeria. And in June, we saw Buhari must go anti-government protests held in multiple areas of Nigeria. And most recently, we also saw Buhari must go protests held in Abuja as well on the 1st of October. There has also been rising anger with the cost of living. And on top of this, we've seen unemployment rise to around 33%, which is the second highest globally. And last year we saw NSAS protests held. Those were mainly related to police violence, but anger with growing poverty, unemployment, and economic stagnation are factors that have contributed to these NSAS protests that we saw. So we are likely to see more anti-government protests held in the future, and we could also see more violent protests. We saw how in Sudan, for example, protests related to the cost of bread or the lack of bread in Sudan really escalated into anti-government protests, and we could see the same happening in Nigeria, where for example, protests related to the cost of living or unemployment quickly escalate into anti-government protests.